Grand Rising, good morning, hello, how are you? And welcome on this morning to our training session here at the Crossroads. I'm Cheryl, and this is my lovely daughter Danielle, and we are going to be, you good? I'm just grateful. This is a relaxed atmosphere, and I'm so thankful that God has allowed us to do our training session this way. I am thankful on today. Hold on one second, y'all. I got to do a little cough to clear my throat. Excuse me. And we're back. Welcome on this morning. Blessings, and we're so glad that you've allowed us to enter into your homes on this morning. Truly on today. God is so good. And this is the day. This is the day. Yesterday is gone, and it's like the song saying, tomorrow may never be mine. But this is the day that the Lord has made, and we are going to rejoice, and we're going to be glad in this day. Today, I just want to ask Andy first, how was your week?
How was my week? I had a good week. My week was really, it was uneventful, which is always a good thing for me in my line of work, and what's going on with my job. But other than that, yeah, I had a really good week.
Was there anything eventful that happened to you in the week that you were able to see God in? See, that's what this is all about. I mean, we're going through things in our lives daily. There's decisions that have to be made daily. But everything that come at us really is for us to be able to see God.
Amen. Well, I see him on a daily basis. Just in well, I'll tell you one thing that he has given to me. Can you hear me now? Okay. One thing that he has allowed me to go over and to understand in this week, and what I wanted to bring to the table talk here, is the two capabilities or abilities that he has given to every single person. And it's the same for every single one of us, even though we probably have different gifts, different talents, but there's two abilities that he's given to every single person. I don't care what color you are, ethnicity, I don't care what industry you work in, I don't care your age. Well, whenever you come to an age to understand, I'll say, I don't care from that age up, not even if you have mental disabilities or what have you. God has given us all two things in order for us to fulfill purpose.
Okay.
And I was able to walk that out this week. And I wanted to ask you all, or even you, do you know what those two things are?
Look at me, y'all. She's up there, and I'm up here writing two abilities, and I'm weighing number one and number two.
Right.
Everybody else out there is doing two.
Right.
Two abilities to perform.
Two abilities to just, and purpose is the end, but just to be able to have a successful life, period. These are two things that we have innately been given by God in order for us. Now, some of us don't participate or use these, but, or maybe we are in and out of our capabilities, but he has given us two.
What's that? Is that our will and our and his spirit?
Those aren't the answers. I mean, he has, but those aren't the answers that he gave me. Anybody else want to try? And it's not a trick question. It's not really hard. And I thank God because he's taken the difficulty out of this. Everybody wants to be so high and profound and on the mountains. No, it's really not that deep.
Everybody just wants to be right.
Right.
And that's what's wrong with us. It's okay. It's okay for us not to know, because we often talk about ignorance, and everybody that lives in these in this world is ignorant because no one person knows everything.
Exactly.
So there are things that we don't yet know. And I don't mind taking, it's not a shot. You know, I'll say what it is I believe, and if I'm wrong, but I know the answer's coming so that whenever, if the question ever comes up again, I can give the correct answer. So that's kind of like what I want us to know, to understand, and that's the thinking that I want us to be able to go from, so that you won't be sitting there all timid, you know, and looking like, you know, I can't say. Yes, you can say something. It's okay if it's wrong, but we're in a place where we're gonna get it right. And that was the question. Is there's two abilities that God has given us.
So was Will one of them?
No, Will wasn't one of them. But it's not that it's not right, because those are two things that God has given to us in order for us to fulfill purpose. So it's not that you're wrong. Nothing that is going to be said just because it's not what's in my mind or what God has given to me is wrong, if that is in fact what God has given. And the amazing thing about this is it's so simple that you all are going to be right anyway. Once I say, I knew that, I got that, I'm going to be right anyway. So you had your hand up, Hannah.
Would it be just a mind? The mind to be able to, that we give us a mind to be able to choose what we want, and the next step would be just to be able to, and the action to be able to, maybe your action to be able to choose.
That is a simplified version. Okay, so she said he's given us a mind in order to, what did you say, a mind?
A mind to make a choice.
A mind to make a choice, and then she said that he's given us the physicality to provide actions after you have your mind. So he's given us all, I don't care what level you're on, comprehension and obedience. Before you say that. And it's hearing. So that means on a spiritual level, you can be deaf and hear. You can be stuck, as people would say, or a little delayed maybe, or slow to learn, but still can hear and still comprehend, to obey. And that's what he's giving us all. Whether we use it in our spirituality, whether we use it on our job, whether we use it in our house with our parents or with our kids, but God has given every single one of us, every creation, even the animals. It transcends even human life onto the animal, because an animal even can hear, understand, and obey a command. But we're far greater, far better than animals. So therefore, he's given it to us in order to comprehend what's being heard and to obey what's been understood.
You say that for us who are humans, you're right, it's comprehension, and then we have I'm going to say the option, whether or not we're going to be obedient to what it is we understand. And I think that whenever we understand something, the way that you prove that you understand it is to do it.
Exactly.
So, and then when you use the example with the animals, they can hear, and they can hear a command, and then they are then what's the word? They don't immediately obey.
Force?
Yeah, well, not really force, but you have to. That comes in the kingdom where you have to have dominion over. That's it. You have to have dominion over, but it's not for anyone to have dominion over us. It's that we hear, we understand, and we obey. And as I said, I'll always keep saying it. And that's what's kind of backwards today in the so-called church world. You have the pastors and you have the members, and the pastors are over the members. We don't lord ourselves over. Even in the animal kingdom, whenever they train them to obey, that's what God said. That's what he meant in Genesis. We are to have dominion over the animals, over the fishes, over the things that's in this life, but never over the human. So just as she was saying, and I do understand that the ability, God has given us all the ability, whenever we reach an age of understanding, that you can hear and you can understand. I can remember whenever we were potty training my twin girls. I'm waiting, to potty train them. I'm waiting for them to come up of age where I can begin to potty train them. But their dad said, he had a name for him. He said Dinky Dunk, Danielle and Danielle.
Dinky and Donkey.
But he was like Dinky Dunk. Well, this is what he said. He said Dinky Dunk, and they looked at him, and he said, "It's time." That's what he used. He said, "It's time." He said, because when they can recognize they can hear their name and know that that's who they are, he said, "It's time."
Exactly.
And that's when, and we did. We literally, at that time, began to potty train them. And they literally came into that place of being sat in a place, staying there, understanding that you can get up once you potty. It is, you really do, and that is so very true. We do. God has blessed us, and He has given us the ability to be able to hear what we need to hear, to comprehend it. In other words, that's knowledge, the information, and then the comprehension is the understanding, and then the obedience is how you apply what it is you understand to the thing it is that you say you understand.
And I just want to say, and there's no excuse for us, because every single one of us has this ability. I don't care if you, like I said, are hard of hearing, you cannot hear. God has made it whereas there is resources that can be given to you in the form of sign language for you to comprehend what is being said, and then from your comprehension, do what you have understood that you needed to do. He's given that to all of us. We are without the resources of God. The resources that God has given that were built into us. We don't have to go searching for it. We don't have to go looking for it. We don't have to go and buy it. We don't have to go procure it from another place. These are things that are innately inside of us, inherently inside of us, that we can now perform in, we can stay in to get to our purpose.
Amen.
So that's how my week was.
Great. Groovy. Now, I have a question. I wanted to put this out this morning because this is what came into my spirit on this morning. And it was to ask the question, where are you today? Both physically and mentally. Where are you today? And it came to me because I considered where I was. I'm here in the state of Alabama. And although this is not the place I originated in, God was downloading and allowing me to know that today He's like, where you are is where you're supposed to be. I put you there for you to influence, to have an influence in that place. You're not just there just to say I live there. I'm not here just to say I live here. What He placed in me before I even came here is what He's expecting to get out of me here in this place. So as I thought about that, either you are where you're supposed to be, and that's physically, and mentally. If you're physically in the place where you're supposed to be, then mentally you should be all right also in the place. But if you're not in the place where you're supposed to be, it's that you did not move when you were supposed to move. And we have that to happen a lot in life. People, you have a lot of people that wait. You can know that you have to leave. You can know that you have to go someplace else. You can know where it is that He's calling you to. But then whenever we come out of that spiritual ear of hearing, And then we get into the natural, and then we start thinking like, okay, I don't have no money to move. God, is this you for real talking to me? We try to figure everything out before we get to the place where He's calling us to. And therefore, sometimes we find ourselves staying in a place physically, and mentally we find ourselves being messed up in that place. That's right, because whenever you're out of place, then you're out of sync. You're out of sync. You're out of alignment with God. But I'm just saying that to say, we have to stop thinking from our natural mind. And whenever we hear and we know that it's coming through the Spirit, I always say this: if it ain't crazy, it ain't God. Yes, He's gonna tell. Yes, you know it's Him. Whenever He tells you to do something, you know you don't see no way possible that you can get that done.
You say that, and another thing that I was thinking about on this week, just based on response and reaction. Whatever is happening at the time, you say if it's not crazy, then it's not God. And what I was thinking about is if it's comfortable to your flesh, then it's not God.
Yes.
If you can sit and you're not round or disturbed in your flesh. I'm not talking about your spirit man, because spirit man's going to be okay. But I'm talking about if you get an uneasy feeling flesh-wise, then safe to assume that you're probably outside or what is being given to you, or the director, or whatever you're trying to accomplish is in the spirit and not of the flesh.
Yeah, because sometimes whenever you get so comfortable, that's like you saying, I can do it. Mm-hmm. And whenever you can, then God's not. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes in that place where you're out of place, then things become difficult. It does. Things start getting difficult for you. It's difficult for you to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. See, because why? Because God got a way of running you up out of there.
Exactly.
You can try to hold on as long as you can hold on to it, but I promise you, He has a way of shutting some stuff down. He'll shut it all the way down. And He'll shut you down in that place, and He'll make it so difficult for you. Why? And that's still the love of God, and He's getting us in a place, preparing us to be able to move. You have to learn to move. Whenever you hear it, you got to move. Our problem is that we always think about how it is we can get that accomplished. And it's not your reputation that's on the line, it's God's. Because if He told you, then He's always the provision. It's just that you try to use your vision to see. But the vision that He gives you when He tells you to go to a place, He's already made the provision for that place. Not for your vision, for you being able to see yourself in that place, being able to see how you're functioning in that place, because that's not what He told you. And that's where I believe a lot of us find ourselves. We find ourselves in places that we've seen and we've heard what He said, but it's not until we can see ourselves in it from our own mind that we will then try to start, going. Let's take this for example. I thought about, these hurricanes, these storms and stuff. What did they do? They named them first, right? They named them, and then they announced the names of them. And then what happens after that? Now, whenever they see these hurricanes and stuff coming up, between them naming them and telling us what the names of them are, we understand that there's a period of time that is called hurricane season. After that time, in the midst of that time, it gives us time to prepare. It gives you time to prepare. But God is not like that whenever He's telling us. See, man can try to prepare you for some things and cause you to get prepared for it. But then whenever we think about the storms sometimes also, you do have some people that say, you know what, you have some that in their preparation they'll get up and they'll move all together. They'll get out of the pathway of the storm. You have some that will say, no, I'm going to stay and I'm going to ride it out. And sometimes those that stay and ride it out, they lose their lives in it. But others that stay and ride it out, listen, there is some that will lose their lives, but then there's some that have stayed and rode it out just to have somebody to come in and rescue them. Still, to have to be rescued. Why? Because they did not heed the warning. They did not prepare, especially if you're in an area that you definitely know that it is hit before. You know, so all I'm saying is that, but God don't do us that way. Whenever you hear whatever He's telling you to do, you know, that's to you. He has made that announcement to you. He has said this to you. And so you don't, where we mess up sometimes is that we go and we tell other people about what it is He said to us. And then you allow other people to talk you out of what He said. You know, some of them may be quick to tell you, like, you know, if I was you, I'd pray about that. You know, all because they can't see what God said. And they don't have they don't need to have sight to see what He said, because He didn't say it to them. You included them. You brought them in. And the longer you find yourself staying in a place where God has told you to move from, you're going to find yourself facing difficulty in that place.
May I just inject this real quick? I believe the reason why we are so loose with our lips and so quick to ask others of their opinions, or even just to disclose what has been spoken to us, because we didn't realize it was God who spoke to us. And we don't understand the gravity of directive from God. Whenever I understand that it's God, it goes nowhere else except for in me, and then straight to action.
Ooh,
You understand what I'm saying? It's not, it's supposed to, whenever I know, clear cut that it's God, I don't go and I speak of it to anyone.
I'm so sorry, because I have to just interject this. It's because of your relationship.
And that's what I was going to get to.
Amen. Go ahead. I'm going to let you go ahead.
Amen. Thank you so much. Just the tightening of the relationship, and it's fine. It's okay. Whenever I understand who it was who spoke to me, whenever you understand who it was that spoke to you, then it's a different course of action, I believe, that we take. Now, it's one thing to get advice from somebody else and you don't, it doesn't correlate with your spirit. It doesn't connect with your spirit. It's just, you know, some words that you have to think about, or you have to try and digest. And then I would understand then going to somebody else, oh, this is what I heard, this is what so-and-so was said to me. What do you think about it? But whenever I sure enough know that it was God, through and through, I have no recourse to go to you and ask, like, well, God told me this, what you think about it? No, it's for me to ingest, digest, do what I have to do with it in preparation to go, in preparation to act.
You say that. However, is that an immediate action that you do, or do you even yourself have to just sit? Because, you know, there's a difference. Because from what I hear you say, it seems as if that there might be a period of time before you act on what it is He has said, that you have to be sure yourself, and you don't move immediately. You don't act on it immediately, because you have to be sure. That's what I kind of like heard. Am I hearing right? Or?
Yeah, I don't see what I said from you to hear. I'm just saying whatever you know precisely and concisely that it is God.
That's what I'm saying. When are you going to know? When do you know?
Me personally, whenever I understand that it's God, it's something that I've already dealt with. Case in point, I'll give you an example. Whenever I was trying to transition from one job to the next, I hated the place where I was whenever I was working there. When I say I loathe and despise going in there. But I understand because of my previous actions, I had to, the mandate for my life was to be there at that time. And I had to do it, even though through the hatred and the loathing of it, I had to put on a face, and I had to do it in joy. Whenever I started doing it in joy, then that's whenever God spoke to me illicitly and told me what I needed to do to come out of that place. So I understood at that time it was God. I didn't have to go and ask any questions. I didn't have to go and have a discussion with anybody else. I knew then and there, instinctively, spiritually, by relationship with God, what I had to do in order to get it done, in order to transition from that area of where God had me to the next level that He had me going. So that is my litmus test. That's where I understand that it is God.
Okay, thank you. As she was speaking, I thought about what in my spirit was the word Lodabar. Lodabar. And Lodabar was a place where nothing grew. It was a dump. Whenever you go into the Word, and sometimes, and I'm seeing how God is using this in comparison to what we're saying on this morning. Lodabar was, you will sometimes go to Lodabar. You will go because you will be in a place where nothing is working for you.
Absolutely.
You can't get anything, and everything around you, it has nothing for you. It's nothing in those things that's outside of you that's able to help you. And you are going to have to stay in that place until God sends you help.
Exactly.
And that's sometimes people will get in that place because of their disobedience.
Amen.
And then sometimes, as I was hearing her say, and then sometimes you will go to that place. God will sometimes allow you to be hid in a place like that. He'll allow you to be hid until He sends help. But I believe that when you're in Lodabar for your disobedience, I believe that you have a decision to make. And we can go into the Word and find many things. You can deal with Jonah like that, But when you understand that the decision that you made not to move whenever He said to move, that decision caused and cost you. It caused you to go into Lodabar, and it cost you, it took away from you. And you have to wait. You had to wait until, God sent you help. You have to wait until the next thing came around for you to have to be able to make a decision this time. See, because when I find out that even being here, I can remember in 2017, whenever I came over the threshold of this place, and whenever it was the pews and the pulpit, and I remember praying, and I remember holding my head up after prayer, and I remember seeing the place as it is today. I immediately, I said, God, what are you saying? That's what I said. Whenever I saw what I saw, I said, God, what are you saying? I know what I see, but what are you saying? And God was in that time, doing a transformation. He's like, it's time for you to come out of that religion and tradition. He said, it is time for you to come into kingdom. And I'm so grateful again. I'll always say I'm so grateful for Tony, my son. God bless and rest him. And He vested in him now. I'm so thankful for him, because all I did was tell him what it was I saw. And immediately, we got into action. Let me encourage you. When I came back and when I told the congregation, I have to talk church talk now, for you to get the understanding. But when I did that and I told the congregation, there was a lady in the congregation, Hannah. She's still here. Hannah said immediately she got on. She started calling the It's a place up the road from us that what is it called?
Faith Mission.
It's Faith Mission. Yes, Faith Mission. Yes, but they take contributions. And I tell you, she got on that and she made the appointment, whereas they would be able to come and pick up all these pews, the pulpits. I had a Hammond organ, we had drum sets, we had the whole nine when it came to the church. Got rid of the whole nine, because what He showed me, none of that in the church era was a part of what God showed me. And what we're in now today is what He showed me. And I'm going to tell you this. It pays to move when God says move. Listen to me. You don't have to worry about how you're going to get there. She laughed because y'all don't know I felt that just now. It's okay. You don't have to worry about how you're going to get there. You don't have to worry about how you're going to get there. I'm in a place right now where I still have something before me that he's got to do.
I wanted to say, whenever you were talking about whenever God showed you how this place was supposed to be set up, present day or modernly, you had begun to ask the Lord, what did you say? What are you saying, Lord? I don't think that's a bad place to be. And I wanted to say that before we got too far. I do not believe that that is a bad place to be. Because he gives us opportunity in relationship to communicate with him. And
exactly.
if you don't understand, it's better for you to ask him. Because if you don't ask him, I believe it leaves us open to ask others. Yes. And it's not them who told you, so they can't give you a clear understanding of what God is trying to say or what God is trying to communicate to you. So if he shows you something and you don't understand immediately, I do believe a good place to be is, God, what are you saying? And I wanted to, because religion and tradition tells us that we shouldn't question God. We shouldn't ask God after he's spoken to us, or after something has happened, we shouldn't ask God why. I don't believe that. I don't believe we should challenge God. Now, I don't believe we should get beside ourselves. I don't believe that we should reposition ourselves outside of the position that he has given us. However, if you are void of understanding, just like she was about to say, in all you're getting, the Constitution tells us that we have to get an understanding. And it said that we can go to the one, which is God, that gives all understanding.
The wisdom also to know how to apply.
Exactly. And he won't hold that from us.
And it's a good thing to be able to ask God. And right, religion and tradition told us not to, but kingdom tells us to. Talk to him, to ask him, and God loves it because he loves the fact that we can come to him saying to him, God, I don't know, but you're the all-knowing. You know, God. And so I said, God, what are you saying? And whenever we begin to move towards what it was, I was able to tell Tony that I saw. And I mean, when I tell you everything just started working. He started saying, Apostle, you got, get this, order this, order this, order that. And I'm telling you, everything that's in here, there's people that's from different states that have already been here in our training center. And you see what God has done. You see what he said. Let me say this, just to validate the goodness of God and God's word. That was in 2017. Had not I moved, whenever he showed me, had not I moved in 2020, whenever this COVID-19 hit, I would have been in pulpit and pews and would have had to close the door according to the influence of the world's government. But because he set us up conference style, school style, training style, we never ever shut the door. And nobody, the policeman or nobody, God knows. You never know what God is preparing you from and what he's saving you from until you move on what he says. Just start going. Just start going. It's just like, you know what, God, I don't know. You said it. And so you know what? I'm going to do what you said. All you have to do is just start. As you continue to go, I promise you, he'll open up, he'll show you, he'll let you know which way, whatever it takes. He knows the path to get you to the place where he's telling you to go. So I'm just saying, I'm grateful to be in this place in Alabama, to be able to give what God has placed in me. But this purpose, I am purposed to be here. And I have to give what he's given me in this place. And you can keep your mind. Your mind will stay in perfect peace. All you got to do is get in the perfect place.
All right.
Get in the perfect place. A lot of people, they just go from pillar to post. That's what the one mom used to say. You run here, you run there. You're trying to find a place where you can be settled. Listen and see where God's telling you to be, where He wants you to go. If you're not in that place already, and even in that place, yes, we experience some things in that place, but it's all a part of us being able to have a testimony to others that we're going to meet in that place, to let them know of assuredly. You have to have that assurance of what it is you're saying, not from what somebody said, but from what it is you have lived. People believe what you have lived versus what you say.
And the great thing about what she's saying, it is the truth. All you have to do is try it. A lot of times people give out things and they're gimmicks. They give out things and it's not tried and it's not true. But honest to goodness, God knows us from the inside out. Yes. Meaning He knows our heart. Meaning He knows the place in us where everything flows, whether it's our emotion, whether it's our mental capacity, what have you. He's intimately involved with us at that place. So He knows whether or not what we mean, and He means us well. So if we mean to be where He will want us to be, then He will tap into that place and He will show you. He will show me. And all it takes is, just like she said, a going. Just obedience is key. And you don't have to go and buy obedience. You don't have to go looking for obedience. Obedience is in you. It's in me. Whether I choose to submit to the capability that God has given to me is another thing within itself. However, I'm not void of it. You're not void of it. And we can tap into that capability and we can go where God sees fit for us to go.
So, in closing, you may ask, because a lot of people like to be in a place with you, and a lot of people can speak and sometimes outspeak you whenever you're trying to give them what it is that they need. But I will say on today, there are some, and maybe things aren't going, the way that you think that they should be going. And that could very well be because you're in Lodabar. You're not in the place and you have not moved in that time that God has told you to move. So there is a thing that's called foundation. Where are you found on today?
Yes.
See, it just comes a period in time in our lives where, and especially now in the time in which we're living in, so many people are really listening for help. Yeah. They're listening for life. And that's all they want. They just want to continue to live without having what it is that real life brings. And we need the foundation. So what is the foundation? We really do. We need to have that relationship with God, with Christ. And it has to be done through His Spirit. So we have to be able to receive that Spirit, because in that Spirit, I promise you, in that Spirit is everything we need to live in this life. In that Spirit is everything that we need to know in this life. In that Spirit is everything we need to be able to grow and to function in this life. In that Spirit, all the answers. You don't have to go and ask anybody anything. In the Spirit, once you receive that is your foundation. And in it, you can ask questions, you can receive answers, you can hear, but it takes that relationship. It's not something you receive one time and it lays dormant. It's something that you receive and it's activated in your life. It produces faith beyond fear. It produces actions that will cause you, it even causes you to make the right decisions in life. Who wouldn't want to live a life like that? Who wouldn't? All of us, because the word lets us know there's nobody that's living, still living, and not sin. Now you can find that in the book of Ecclesiastes. I mean, the wise man said that. But we're not concentrating on practicing sinning. We're concentrating on getting the foundation. Because see, sometimes you can always go from that foundation, but the foundation will still stand sure. You can always come back to it.
Absolutely. And I would like to interject this as well. I would like to believe and like to say that the Holy Ghost acts as an enhancer for the things that are already inside of us. It enhances, just like she said, our faith because we were given the measure of faith. It enhances our obedience because we were all capable of being obedient. It enhances our love because we all have some type of love or some form of love in us. It enhances our will. Everything that we were given, it enhances it, and it allows us, like you said, to participate actively, listening to whatever the Spirit is telling us. So it allows me now to have more faith to move. It allows me now to have more love to be able to withstand you even though you're getting on my last nerve. Or even for you to withstand me because I'm getting on yours. It enhances now my ear. Everybody has the comprehension, but it enhances our comprehension level to understand what God is saying to us at the time. It allows us to keep at it. It won't have to be reactivated or it will have to be re-received or what have you. It allows us to keep it, and it allows us to every capability that God has given to us, it allows us to perform at our peak.
And just as she said in that, is how she ended it, is how we began it. And so I heard her say that with the enhancement of it and us having and staying in relationship with it, then we really don't have to ask anybody what he said. We ourselves will know. And with the two abilities, an ear to hear, a mind and a heart to comprehend, and he's given us the ability to have obedience, to obey. And I wanted to say this, and we're done with this session for today. There's two kinds of wisdom. There's earthly wisdom, and then there's the wisdom that comes from above. And you have so many, that earthly wisdom is what you use whenever God speaks to you sometimes, and you're not sure that it's him, or you're not sure that your mind then, from his voice, your mind then goes into your natural mind and into your earthly wisdom. Your earthly wisdom. And a lot of people know a lot about the world and know how to maneuver, how to make ways and waves, and you know a lot about how to get by in this life. Whether you cheat, steal, lie, whatever, that's the earthly wisdom. But whenever we get in this foundation, once we are rooted, grounded, and settled in this foundation, then we have that relationship, and when we hear him, then we ask, like he said, we have that wisdom that comes from above, the one that's pure, the one that comes from above, and we use that wisdom to then know how to do what it is we say we understand. And that's the difference. That's the difference between us using our mind whenever God speaks and having the mind of Christ to hear in order to be able to obey. So this morning, as we close, I just ask, where are you today? Mentally and physically. If you're in the place where you're supposed to be, then you should have peace of mind, and we should be producing our purpose in that place.
Yes.
Not to say that we're not going to be challenged with some things, but it's okay. He already told us. He said, don't worry about it. He said, I've overcome that, and I'm in you, and you will overcome all the other challenges that you're facing also.
Right.
So we just honor God on today, and I would just say that, if you're not in that place, or if we have hit on something and you see yourself in that particular place, the way that you come out of Lodabar. I mean, and he's willing to send somebody in there for you to come get you, but he has to first see that your heart is willing to come out, that you're willing to listen. That now, if he brings you out, now you'll be like Jonah. You won't take 3 days to do what he told you to do 30 years ago. you would get it done in a day's journey. And that's just how good God is to us on today. So, anything else you want to
Just
say?
have one, as you were speaking, the story of Samuel and Eli came into my spirit. And just briefly, the story goes that God was speaking to Samuel, but he thought that it was Eli. Eli was the prophet. Samuel was the little boy that was in the prophet's care. And God was trying to speak to Samuel. And every time God spoke to Samuel, he would go to Eli asking if Eli was the one that called him, but in actuality it was God. So what I want to say from this, I believe the most pivotal or the most important lesson came from whenever Eli told him the very last time that Samuel came. He said, whenever you hear it again, say, "Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth." I believe, loosely translated. But what he was trying to get him to understand was, after he understood, it wasn't him that was speaking, it was God that was trying to speak to Samuel. So I give those same words to us. Whenever we hear something and we kind of confused on where it's coming from, I believe immediately we should just tell God, God, I hear you. I'm trying to understand what you're saying, so speak to me plainly so I can understand what you're saying to me, so I can hear you to obey you.
And as she was saying it, we need to stop because it just keep running. Because even as she was saying that, others in life, they have the tendency, once you go with them, to give you the answer.
Right.
But they never want to send you back to God.
Yeah.
Because they want to be your God in that place, Well, I believe you need to do this. You need
Exactly.
to No, I believe you need to follow this example.
Right.
And say, if you don't know, you be so in tune with God where you can understand that God is dealing with that person's heart.
Absolutely.
And so you can just say, what, go back. If you hear it again, you go back and lay down. If you hear it again, then just say, "Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth."
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good. So if you're in a place where you're not sure, before you go to anyone, you just ask God, what are you saying? God, what are you saying?
Because he might say, "I'm not telling you anything, you're making it up." But at least you know it's from God. At least you understand that it's God telling you that, as opposed to you going to somebody else and they say, "Well, you're doing the right thing and you're doing a good job." And I'm like, no.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I didn't say that. So whether it's a pass or a fail or to go or not to go, at least you're getting the directive from God.
And with that, we just want to say God bless you on this Sunday, wherever you are. Thank you again so much for allowing us to be in your home. And thank you for taking out the time to hear what it is that the Spirit is speaking expressly.
Amen.
And I always encourage people, don't look at me, don't look at Danielle, but listen to the words and hear it by the Spirit. God bless you, and until next Sunday, we want to say God bless, have a blessed and prosperous and productive week.
Purposeful.
And, purposeful week.
Walk in your
Amen.
purpose on this week, whatever that may be. But we understand what it is. What is it? Spiritual alignment with the sovereign kingdom.
Amen. Walk in that this upcoming week. The blessings of the Lord overtake you in this week.
Amen.
And we're saying God bless from the cross.